use of these is for grabbing your specimen and mixing it with that spot of water that you put on the microscope slide. Which one would you guess we would use today? The needle or the loop? Ha, good, I'm glad you guys said that. Wrong. Okay? We're coming off of slant auger, which is a tube that has auger in it and a slant. Look at that. That's why we call it slant auger. One of the problems that you kids have when you first start, and I was the same way when I first microbiology class took, is you want to see a bunch of material on the loop, but I promise you, if you take stuff off of the tube with the loop, you're going to have way too much. You won't be able to see anything. It'll be too dense. So we only use the loop when we have liquid. Okay? And this is I'm talking about getting a specimen onto a slide. Okay? There are other uses for this that we'll go over, but put the loop away. We're not going to use the loop today. We're going to use the needle. And the way that we work this is that I'll walk you through it first and then I'll show you. We have to keep this, I have Pseudomonas here, this specimen sterile. We have to be aseptic. We don't want to introduce a contaminant. So the best way to do that is to remember this Coach Gray rule of thumb. Whenever you open a tube, you've got to flame it. Before you close a tube, you've got to flame it. And while you're holding it, always keep it at an angle. It's harder for bacteria floating around in the air to get in at an angle tube, especially one that's just been heated, okay? And I'll show you how to do that. And that's how we're going to get our specimen. So we'll take the lid off, we'll flame it. I'll have this needle already sterilized, okay, before I even start this process. Then you'll go in and you just set this needle, and go ahead and close this back up. You set the needle on the auger, don't dig into the auger, and you just, only about the distal quarter of the needle is what you need to touch to the butt, and you just touch and pull out. As simple as that. Then we'd flame, cap, give it to your lab assistant, and now you have the specimen on the needle that you're going to take and mix with the water. And you'll spread it out to about the size of a quarter. And the less water you put on here, the less time you have to spend twiddling your thumbs and waiting for the slide to what we call air dry. It has to air dry. And I'll show you a technique to speed it up, but don't circumvent it. Do it just how I show you. Once it's air dried, then we heat fix it. This is what the clean slide, and the way that we heat fix it ensures you that the specimen will stay on that slide when you stain it. Okay? So is everyone with me then? I'm going to show this to you. Here we go. Make sure no one's around. Catch their hair on fire. Let's sterilize this thing first. See that tip of that blue intense flame right? That's the hottest part of the flame. Not out here, not down in here, right there at that blue part. And if you're going to use a needle, you have to use the whole thing, or you have to sterilize the whole thing, just like this. See how it's turning orange, the wire? That's sterile. And then you come back out. I'll show you an alternate technique in just a minute. Okay, so sterile. Flame. Get that auger. I'm just going to take this. I'm going to set about a quarter of it in there. Lightly set it on the auger and drag it out. Flame it. close the flint, close the tube off, there's the tube. Get the slide, and actually mix it to about the size of a quarter. And set it down. Now you've got bugs on here, so we need to, and this is very, very important. Probably the two most important things are the amount of time that I leave that tube open. The less time that tube is actually open, the better. And then the sterilization of the needle. And you see how long this takes? Kind of a pain in the butt. But that needle is now sterile and hot. So you would want to set that down like that. To circumvent, you need this for the tube. There's no other way than to flame the tube when you open it, when you close it. That's a rule of thumb. I'm opening the tube, Crooksbury said close it, or flame it. I'm closing the tube, Crooksbury said flame it before you close it. So flame it when you open, flame it when you close it. These are incinerators that they take about 5 minutes to get warmed up. So if you want to use these, you will plug these in right when you come in and turn it to high. Two things I ask. Don't touch, okay? And make sure it's unplugged and put back when you're done. Because I don't want this place to burn down because someone left an incinerator on, okay? So that's one of the things I'll check on when we're all done, but I'll hold you accountable to make sure that if you're going to use these, use them right and you get them shut off and unplugged at the end. Okay? But they take about 5 minutes. So let's say it's been 5 minutes now. Here's the nice thing. Where'd that tube go? Okay. So I'm going to repeat sterilization. Now this is out of context, okay? We're waiting for this slide to air dry, and it takes time. 15, 20, 30. I've seen students sit there 30 minutes because they put too much water to begin with. One drop, okay? And in fact, these things tend to squirt out about 4 or 5 drops, so we've even got sterile pipettes that you can grab some water from that with, okay? That ensures that you can put 1 single drop of water. 2 at the most, absolute most, okay? But here's how this works. I'm gonna get my specimen on this so that I can transfer it to the slide. So I'm repeating this, only I'm gonna use the incinerator this time. It goes like this. Flame. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Between 5 and 10 seconds, it's ready to go. Go in, pull out, flame, close, give it to your friend. There you go. And now I would do that. So you can use either this, which takes, it's not as hot, and the rooms are cooler. So the way you can speed this up is there's an area, you can feel it with your hand. Right there. And you're just gonna watch it. And you'll watch it just shrivel up, dry up, and go away. Eventually. You do not want to heat it up too much. That's why I touch it to the back of my hand. If I touch it to the back of my hand and I feel a little teeny sting, you're too hot. Okay? You don't want to get to that. You'll denature the bacteria. You'll change their shape. You'll change their ability to hold stain. So, before the heat fixing. So before I go to heat fixing, does everybody understand? Clean, let that slide set, lightly pass it through up here, after you've wiped it down to make sure that it's clean, dry, and then you're going to put 1 drop. I would recommend using the pipette Because these things, these wash bottles, that's just exactly what they are. They shoot out a stream like that, and that's what you're gonna get on the slide. And you're gonna have way too much water, and you're gonna be waiting forever for it to air dry, and it's gonna be much bigger than a quarter and all the things that come with that. Are we good with that? Does everybody understand? If we open or close the tube, we flame it. Just, you saw how I just passed it through. If you're gonna hold that tube open for a little bit, which I always recommend the shortest time possible, tilt it. Just a little. All right, it's harder for bacteria to drop into a tilted tube other than a straight up and down tube. Everyone understand how to extract the sample? That we're using a needle on solid media, we use the loop, and you'll get a chance to use the loop as we go along here, on liquid media. And then we spread the sample to about the size of a quarter, and you're gonna look at it and you're gonna go, I don't have anything on my slide, Coach, but yeah, trust me, you do. Yeah, trust me, you do. Sometimes, I mean, we're all beginners at this, and we were all beginners at one time, and we've had slides where nothing took, and maybe we didn't get into the sample. Look at the slide, look at the slant auger, guys. Look at this tube, see where there's growth, and that's where you wanna go to. Just don't blindly stick a needle in there. Just look where you want to go. Okay, I want to go to the middle of the tube and drag it out. Then that's what you do. Okay. Yeah. So, any questions up to this point before I show us how to heat fix it? Okay, heat fixing.
Pointers on this too. Like you guys all saw, Coach, he kept the cap in his hand. We took the cap off. Didn't sit it down on the table. Had the needle in the same hand. That's important to start learning at this point, because anytime that you sit that cap down, throw it off to the side or whatever and have to find it, that is again, maybe possibly introducing bacteria. So practicing keeping that cap in that hand and then putting it back on is
good. There you go. Yeah, and if you set that cap down here, and then you go over here and you come along and set your forearm right there, guess what? She's got tuberculosis on her forearm now. Okay, not good. Okay. All right. So let me show you the next step. Anything else at all? Okay. I'm going to show you how to heat fix. So everyone's good with this, right? Okay. Here's how you heat fix. Watch this. 1, ouch, 2, 3.
There's also clothespins in there.
Yeah, I was going to say, you can put a clothespin on here, and that's why you have the clothespins. Yeah, not sure every time.
Okay, don't bring your fingers on.
1,
Contamination.
2, 3. Perfect. I did not do this heat fixing until it was totally air dry. Well, that's a little lie.
Yeah.
That thing's up, there's a little bit of water on there, okay? But you're not supposed to heat fix until it's totally dry. Then it is simply a matter of 1, 2, 3. No, just one time. I'm doing it multiple times. You just do it 1, 2, 3, one time. 1, 2, 3, that's it. Don't talk a little bit and then do it again, okay? And I always just touch it lightly to the back of my hand to make sure that, yeah, that's warm but not hot. If you get this too hot, it denatures the shape of the bacteria and their cell wall and cell membrane, and they lose their shape and their ability to hold stain. So once again, heat fixing is 1, 2, water and wash. According to your instructions today are simple stain. What are we using? Crystal violet or methylene blue? It should tell you that down at the So now you'll take the slide and you'll just put it on the slide holder right there. So I want everybody to open up their cardboard college stain kit box and pull out a stain called methylene blue. A basic stain. Most bacteria have a negative charge around it, so the positive charge of this stain hooks to it.
That's what I thought. But
Way, and there was a wrong one.
no, it was the
Find it? There it is.
first week that I saved your name in my phone, and the whole time I've been thinking like I think it has an H.
Okay, Linda.
And well, and it in Snapchat it just shows up what I saved you as. It doesn't show up what you had because I already had you saved in my phone and I added you to Snapchat. So it's not like when I added you to social media, you know, it popped up and I could change it. So I couldn't confirm it really. Is he done talking?
Dark blue.
Looks like a dark blue.
It's in one of the packages with the different.
Yeah, it's in one of the packages with brown paper on
It's
it.
right there. Or did you already get it out?
It's got that adult-proof
They're still looking for it.
safety wrapping.
Yeah, he already got it out. He's being nosy.
Hey, where are you gonna throw this away at?
Trash
Where are you gonna throw
can.
the safety wrapping that came off? Oh, I want, yeah, what trash? Yeah, the one by the door. You'll look underneath your desks and you're gonna see a tub with red, with a red plastic bag in it. Y'all see that?
Yes.
Can I get down here?
There's a few, there's one over here.
Yeah. So there's one on there.
You're fine, you're fine. This only, anything that has potential for bacteria on it. So when we, media on it, that goes in there. Like when we start making our own media, you know, your nutrient auger and that sort of stuff, and you're done with throwing up whatever bug on it, you'll throw it in here. 'Cause this gets incinerated. So I say all that to don't take up space with this stuff, just toss it in the regular, okay? So everyone should have this. And everyone should have this. Minus the slide, you guys haven't done the slide yet. And the way that this works, the way that this works
Got it, Coach. Got
is
it.
you simply,
Yes, sir.
you'll see that right in the center area, there's some cloudiness. Okay, that's
Looks like we're taking over this
drop
side.
of water with the bacteria. And you flood the slide, see 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, enough to cover that entire thing. Someone should have started the clock because you have, I think it says leave it on for 60 seconds. Okay, so here we go. 58, 59, 60, 1 minute. Let me talk to you about a few things you do and do not want to do, okay? I would put a clothespin on. In fact, if you want to have gloves on, that's fine, but that's up to you. If you like red, and green, and blue around your fingernails, that's cool, okay? That's what'll happen, all right? So I would recommend putting gloves on and handling this slide with a clothespin.
Does it stain like anything it does?
Yeah, and to stain your clothes, that's why we'll put aprons on too today. So here's how you wash, and here's how you don't wash. My specimen is right in the middle. It's been 60 seconds now, and I need to rinse it off. Watch how I wash it off. I tilt this thing like that. I tilted it almost to 90-degree angle, and I start spraying from the top down. And doggone it, just won't get to that one area, so I'm going to come back and start all over again. You notice I stay away from where the specimen is. I promise you, if you hit the spot where the specimen is, let's say the specimen's right there, and it's gonna lift it up and float it away, and you won't have anything to look at. So always tilt, always spray above where the specimen is. Well, I don't know exactly where the specimen is, but well, start right up here where your clothespin is. Get that clothespin wet and start working your way down. Tilt this back and forth and back and forth. And you can see I didn't get all the oil off. I had a little bit of oil left there because the water won't go there. And I'm not gonna got a little something there. That's how you wash. So you're gonna see with all these stains, you have to apply the stain for a certain period of time and in a certain order. And you gotta wash the one off, and you gotta wash the other one off. And you gotta put stain 3 on, wash it off, however it goes. When you wash, use the wash bottle. I got tons of distilled water for you, okay? And we start at the top. We never ever hit the specimen. If you hit the specimen, it's gonna win and go away. Then you gotta start all over again. And then we gotta get this slide dry. Are we gonna wait again for another 15 minutes? No. This is what bibulous paper. Everybody say bibulous. Okay, good. Okay, now it's entrenched in our mind. This is what the bibulous paper is for. Take one out. There you go. Fold it in half. And set your slide right back in the crevice. Now, watch how I do this. I just fold it over and let it absorb. Don't rub it, okay, because that will break loose the specimen. Just lightly pat it with your gloves on, fingers. Be light, be gentle, especially where the specimen might be. If you find the end of the slide, you can go ahead and work that pretty aggressively.
So do you stain them all for 60 seconds, like with all the different?
It depends on what stain. On this stain, the methylene blue has to stay on there for 60 seconds, and the rest of it. That's a great question. She asked, do you all have to stain all for 60 seconds? No, some are 3 minutes. Some are, the acid fast that you'll do on the same genus as tuberculosis is 5 minutes over a flame, creating smoke.
Why is that? Like, why are they different?
Well, the mycobacterium has, we haven't gotten into this yet, has a certain type of wax in its cell wall that all the others do not. And it's really hard to get through that. It's why our body responds the way it does to tuberculosis. And so we've got to burn that wax out of the cell. At the same time, we've got the stain there ready to take its place. It takes about 5 minutes.
So the time is different to break through the cell wall.
Yes, right, yeah, and with different stains do different things, like the stain that I just talked